late and they were coming home and it got chilly. And one little boy was in the front and the other was in the back. And the dad took his coat and he covered up the little boy in the back who was sleeping. They get home and the little boy who'd been in the front seat was very sad all of a sudden. And the dad tucked him in and he said, well, what's wrong? And he said, Dad, if I were cold, would you tuck in a blanket around me too? Just another way of being in tune to what they're thinking and what's going on, being curious. You could have said, why are you so sad? Cheer up, we went to the ball game today. Or another example is, I have a bunch of kids. And when my first one was in first grade, one day, just out of the blue, he didn't want to go to school. And I was in a hurry to get him on the school bus, and I don't think I was very understanding of his situation. I wasn't really listening. I didn't really care to understand. I wanted him on the school bus. You know, here it comes. Let's hurry up. Let's go. Come on. What's the problem? Pretty soon, finally, he blurts out to me, I don't want to go to school. I don't like writing on lined paper. I'm afraid I can't do it right. So then it meant a whole different thing to me. It wasn't a little boy being stubborn or dilly-dallying or whatever. It was a little kid who was afraid of doing something that was new. And I think if we keep those examples in mind as we're working with our older adults, to try to listen, to understand. When they come at you with all those objections that they have, lists of, you can come back at them for each and every one of them, and what's going to happen? Stalemate? Not much is going to happen. Who's going to move? No, I'll change. No, you change. No, I'll change. You go first, you know. But if you really listen to understand, ask a lot of questions. Be curious. Why do they feel that way? That will help them more than anything else. Often it's really difficult to talk to our older parents or other people we might be helping about these issues because it's really not fun to talk about a living will. It's really not fun to talk about where you want to be buried. Those issues are really not very pleasant. And so I often coach people to just acknowledge right away to the older person you're working with, this is really hard to talk about. Just getting that much of it out in the open can help break down that wall that's keeping both of you protecting the other. Because it's often our own anxiety about creating anxiety in the other person that's going to stop the conversation from being helpful. So just acknowledge it. I really hate that we have to talk about this, but we have to, you know, we have to. Be curious, again, ask a lot of questions, try to use a collaborative attitude, not of fixing. Boy, don't you just want to go in there and fix things? I know what to do. I work now mostly as a therapist, or as a therapist helping therapists. And boy, we all want to just go in there and say, well, gee whiz, isn't it obvious? Here's what you need to do. Is that going to be motivating to the person? Ooh, no. That does exactly the opposite. It makes them dig their heels in. It increases their resistance. It helps them remain even more firm in their original stance. So what are you going to do? I like to recommend David Burns as one person you could go to for learning some communication skills if you'd like to work on that. And I truly believe that is a lifelong process. Improving our own communication skills is something that takes forever. We're always, you know, I consider myself a professional listener, but I think every day I need to work harder and improve at it in some way because you're never really done learning how to do that. But one thing you can do is instead of meeting your older adult parent like this, is thinking in your head of the term coming alongside. Which doesn't mean to say that you have to agree with everything, especially if you totally think it's harmful, wrong, or scary. That's okay. I'm not saying agree with everything, but if you can get on the same team, you will be able to move forward a little bit better than if you're really busy going this way. And if you push, they're only going to push back. What else can they do? You know, we're the ones who are going to have to step to the side and push together. And that's not always easy to do. Again, be curious. If your parent says, there is no way I'm leaving this house, you're going to have to take me out in a box. What do you want to say to that? You might want to say, you really love living in this house. This house means a lot to you. That is going to help your parent feel heard and understood way better than saying, but Mom, you know, you can't. You know, that's not going to help them feel understood or heard at all. Helping them feel heard and understood, you will eventually get to the same place, hopefully, the safer environment, and that's the goal. And it may take a little longer. But what you have to do is calm down your own anxiety and your own fear and listen to understand.